Welcome back. Our next guests are a husband and wife team and authors of Educating Marston, a compelling memoir about a mother and son's journey through autism. Dr. Eric Weiss and Chris join us now. Thanks for coming on our show.
Thank you so much for having us. It's great to be here, Dr. D.
What compelled you to write your story into a book? And what do you want the world to know when it comes to raising an autistic child?
Well, I wrote the book to give hope and encouragement to families struggling with the diagnosis of autism. When our son Marston was born in the early 90s, the rate of autism was 1 in 1,000. And probably back in the 50s and 60s, it was 1 in 10,000. Today, it is 1 in 44 children or 1 in 28 boys. So I knew that I was on the tip of the iceberg. And, I knew I had to develop a playbook to help families, struggling with this, devastating diagnosis. And one of the best tools of my book is the reference guide. I have contact information, phone numbers, websites on all the therapies that I, did with my son, Marston, and he's doing very well right now.
With everything going on in the world, is it normal to feel anxious or even depressed when you're raising a child with autism?
Absolutely. I mean, you have just received this devastating diagnosis for your beautiful child, and there's no course of action. And so personally, I did have pity parties for myself, and I had a hard time getting out of bed. But because I knew how hard this was, I wanted to provide a game plan and a path of encouragement for families. And, I hope that my book provides this light for families. And, autism is an overwhelming, uncertain, there's grief, there's guilt, and it is a difficult journey for families.
What hope can you provide in 2022 for those struggling to raise a child on the autism spectrum, or actionable steps that they can take to get help?
Well, I think the big thing is actually just medical science. As Chris said, the rate of autism was increasing dramatically. The NIH got involved and they actually did autopsy studies, and they found out that autistic brains have neuroinflammation. And so that led to actually an animal model. And from rats to primates, if you induce neuroinflammation, they start with repetitive behavior, they stop socialization, and just aberrant behaviors that start to look like autism. So knowing that now, there are therapies that are starting to move in that direction that actually have objective testing that can improve your child's life. And so that's probably the biggest thing, is that they're starting to unlock the keys of what's going on.
You indicate that stem cell replacement therapy helps autism. How has it helped Marston? And do you feel it will ultimately be the wave of the future in helping autistic children?
I do believe it is. I think that cell therapy, which is happening in a bunch of neurodegenerative diseases, as you know, that will be the biggest thing in medicine since antibiotics. We know from further research on stroke and traumatic brain injury that there is a special type of a cell, a mesenchymal stem cell, that's found throughout the body, but also in umbilical cord blood, that has the ability to turn off neuroinflammation and turn on neural restoration. And so there have been studies where they've given these children this mesenchymal stem cells, and their EEGs have gotten better, their MRIs have gotten better, and they've objectively gotten better, and their brains have changed. And we saw that with our son. When he got his first dose, within a week, he was a different child. He started asking questions. He started interacting with his brothers. He started, the famous one was, he'd been putting syrup on his pancakes for 20 years. And he looked at the bottle and he just said, "Where does syrup come from?" Then that led to discussion. It comes from trees, and, your mom's from New England and that type of thing. But our son now, after several treatments, has been able to live on his own, drive a car, and we're starting to look for, an appropriate work for him. So it's changed his life. And I think it will change, thousands, if not millions of lives.
And Eric wrote 3 chapters in the book on stem cells. So it's very nice.
That is such promising news. Thank you for sharing all of this. Where can my viewers purchase the book and learn more?
Well, I think that there's a website, educatingmarston.com. Will direct you and give you the latest things. There's some blogs and videos. But the book, Educating Marston, can be found on Amazon or Walmart or Barnes & Noble.
Thank you both. I congratulate both of you, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Dr. D.
We'll be right back.